Okay, so in this part of the project, you are dealing with a situation where a child tosses a tennis ball into the air and it lands in the mud. So, we've been dealing a lot with linear functions, but you obviously, when you throw a ball up in the air and it comes back down, it's not going to be linear. It doesn't keep going up into the air. And the function that actually describes this situation is a quadratic function. So you're given a quadratic function, h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 16t plus 4, to model the ball's height in feet with respect to time. So over time, the height of the ball changes. So the very first thing this problem asks you to do is sketch your graph using your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to graph this function on a graphing calculator. So go ahead and turn your graphing calculator on. To get to the equation editor where you're going to put your equations, you're going to press y equals. So press y equals, and it should give you this list of spaces where you can put your equation. So according to the problem, your ball, the motion of the ball, is modeled by the function 16t squared. Now, the variable in this problem is t to represent time, but putting into your calculator, you're going to replace your variable with x. So wherever there's a t, you're just going to replace it with an x. And to input x, if you see, there's the green x right here. So you're going to press the green button, alpha, and then the x. So then you have 16x squared. So we're going to press the squared button. And then plus 16x. Oops. And then plus 4. You just press enter. Now, really important, just as when you graph this by hand, you need to know your window. So you need to know how far your x goes and your y-axis goes. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to have negative time. So you're going to click where it says window. Press window. And you're going to set your minimum to be 0 because the smallest amount of time is 0 seconds. And then for your maximum time, you can leave it there at 10 just to kind of see what happens. And then obviously again, for your minimum height, you can't have a minimum height of negative. So you just put 0 there. And we'll leave the max, you can leave it at something like 30 and see what happens with that. So we're going to press the graph button to see the graph of our function. And you kind of see your windows a little too small. You're not really seeing the entire function. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I think I made an error. Your function should actually be negative 16t squared. Sorry, so we're going to fix that. We're going to go back to y equals to our equation editor. And we're going to press second, insert, and then we're going to insert that negative because I didn't include it the first time. And this is a really good clue actually when you graph your function. I'm graphing something that is a motion of a ball. So when I looked at my original graph, the mistaken one, it doesn't look like the motion of a ball. So that was a good clue to me that I inputted something incorrectly. So then you're going to go ahead and press second, insert, and then that negative. Oops. So that you have your right function. Let's try the graph again. And this time it looks like how a ball would be, right? It would go up into the air and then come back down to the ground. It's a little too small, our graph, so we can zoom in on that. by changing our window, I shouldn't have to go all the way up to 10, it looks like. It looks like I need to go up to like 2. And then the Y should only go up to like maybe 10. And you see a more zoomed in version of your graph. So now that you have your graph, you're going to answer some questions. So go ahead, take your calculator and graph your function first, and then we'll answer some questions about it. Okay, so now that you have a graph of your function, you're going to try to answer these questions. You go ahead and write down your answer to these questions in your notebook. And when you're finished, you're going to take a photo of your work and then also record a video of you explaining your answer. So you're going to look at what's happening to the height of the tennis ball with respect to time, talk about what you think is happening to the velocity of the tennis ball with respect to time, fill out this table, make some predictions, and then record a video of you explaining your answers.